if everyone's okay, I'll just give it another couple minutes to see if we can get the mayor or other councilmen to show up. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have 4 now, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the January 10th meeting of the Development and Zoning Review Committee. The purpose of this meeting is to provide this party an opportunity to informally introduce the concept of a proposed development to certain key city decision makers and to allow them to ask questions and provide comments. No decisions or recommendations on the proposed development will be made by this committee. Any proposals for development you hear or see today are in a very early conceptual stage of planning without the city's departments of planning and public works having had the opportunity to review them. Accordingly, discussion of the specific details of any proposed development at this time is premature, as they are subject to change prior to the formal submission process. In light of the informal and preliminary nature of the presentation today, the public has been invited to attend in person at City Hall via the Zoom webinar platform or streaming live on YouTube and learn about concepts associated with this proposed development in your city, but public comment will not be offered at this time. Any person interested in commenting on the proposal discussed today is encouraged to contact their elected representatives and also take advantage of the numerous opportunities to speak before the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council when, if such occurs, the development is formally submitted for the city's consideration. Let's see. Can I get a roll call of commission members?
Councilmember Garitano.
Here.
Councilmember Galani. Councilmember Brost.
Here.
Mayor Bolin.
Here.
Chair Beatty.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the Department of Planning have any opening comments?
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, as is typical, the Department of Planning will just spend a couple of minutes going over the packet of information that has been provided for tonight's discussion. And we would like to extend our thanks to McBride Homes for providing some of that information to make the packet complete. As always, we have the agenda that's set for tonight's meeting as part of the packet. Along with that, Mr. Newberry, Ms. Ripito, and I have provided you an aerial photograph of the property. Property consists of 9 tracts of land or parcels of ground to create approximately an 18-acre site. Along with that, the department provided you the preliminary and early set of drawings that have been offered by the petitioner McBride Homes. But today you received a much better set of information from them, and it has the name of the project Crestview, how to distinguish the two apart from each other. And then, as always, we provide the bylaws associated with this committee in the event there are any questions about procedure or et cetera. Just a couple of points regarding the area. Obviously, this particular site, collectively the 9 properties, is part of Town Center. The designations under the regulating plan of Town Center are neighborhood general, which allows a mix of uses, both detached single family, attached single family, multiple family, and even some commercial. And then a small portion remains downtown district, and that small portion is in close proximity to the village green. The last item is just that Crestview Drive is a private street. and it exists as a parcel of ground with the street contained in that parcel of ground. And so obviously there are many ramifications relative to Crestview Drive and the potential extension of it to the west, meaning Etherton Road. If there's any questions regarding the packet, Mr. Newberry, Ms. Ripito, and I'd be glad to answer them.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vunich. Mayor Bolin?
Yes, my apology, but I double and triple checked and I did not receive, I don't think I've received that email. So if someone could just please quickly forward that to me, I'll be a quick read on it. I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't think I have it either.
Well, I can assist the ones here, and I think Mr. Newberry's working on it right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe, you're going to put that up on the screen.
Yes, actually, McBride Homes has a presentation that they've prepared and we've uploaded to the system, so we'll be able to see it on screen as well, but we'll certainly get you the information. My
All right.
apologies.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I think we're good for now.
Okay.
So would you like to go ahead and present this to us?
Travis, are you going to pull it up in there? Okay, thank you. Well, good evening, committee members. My name is Catherine Moore. I'm here on behalf of McBride Homes. It's been a while since I've been in Wildwood, so I'm really happy to be back to discuss this new project with you. We understood this to be an informal preview before this committee. So this has taken a bit of a formal edge, but that is quite all right.
This was my surprise as well.
Well, good. It's not just us.
Yeah.
So we have a presentation. We'll go through it. We brought a team here. We have Jake Eilerman, president of McBride Homes, Jeannie Allmiller, general counsel of McBride, Jeremy Roth, VP of Land of McBride and president of Elite Development, our elite project manager, Taylor Stewart, and Mike Faulkner, our project engineer at the Sterling Company. So we have a group to truly dig in and answer any questions you all may have. So you can stop us through the presentation or wait till the end, however you prefer to operate.
Sounds good.
Okay, and it looks like we have the presentation up there. So Joe Vunich, your city staff member, gave a great introduction already about the location of this site. And just to reiterate what he said, it's approximately a little under 18 acres in size, located adjacent and within the city's town center and along Crestview Drive and adjacent to Manchester Road. This was an assemblage of 9 different parcels, but owned by 8 different property owners. McBride has spent well over a year trying to get this assemblage to come together. And we think this assemblage will be a benefit for the city of Wildwood in a few different ways, but it's also what will make this project possible. Part of the site is in the downtown district under the town center regulating plan. And that calls for hotels, office, retail, multi-story buildings. But then part of it was recently converted to neighborhood general, which does allow, as permitted, all the residential uses in that plan. So it's kind of a mixture here. The assemblage, in our opinion, is extremely important because it'll allow the city to finally do the Main Street connection. By having 9 different parcels under our control, the city controlling various other parcels along Crestview, and all of us developers and the city having a relationship with the other adjacent property owners, I think puts us in a very unique situation right now to partner with the city to try to get this project to work and benefit the city by allowing for that Main Street connection. So the project before you tonight, we're calling Crestview, in honor of the name of the street that the property is currently located on. We've really analyzed over many years, but we dug into it again, the city's town center regulating plan. And we really tried to focus on the city's goals with regard to that plan and implement them in this project. So we're using really new for the metropolitan area designs. We're focusing on pedestrian connectivity and roadway connectivity. and really trying to have a green space activity focus in this community. We believe that this will be a hallmark community, a novel community in the metropolitan area, not only new to Wildwood, but new to the whole area, including a brand new product. The product we're going to preview for you is new. It doesn't even, we don't even have a name for it yet, but it was created to try to further the city's new urbanism goals that are contained in the town center regulating plan. Moving on. So here are some examples of the goals for the town center. One is that new urbanism design features I told you about, not only in design elements on the exterior of the buildings, but also on that walkability, multimodal, connected community, connecting residential to the commercial uses in the town center. There's also an economic development goal in the town center plan, and that is that you need to spur economic growth, and rooftops do that. Without consumers, you have no base to support your commercial businesses or draw in new commercial businesses. So higher density residential really does support existing commercial and helps encourage new commercial, filling commercial vacancies. Without rooftops, without consumers, neighborhood commercial cannot thrive. So we believe that the Crestview project will help further these portions of the town center regulating plan's goals. And looking at the community design, in addition to those green space elements and the walkability elements, our president, Jake Eilerman, worked with an outside consultant on really coming up with some new concepts. So if you don't mind, I'll
Yeah.
explain this to you a little
Go right
bit
ahead.
better.
Hello, I'm Jake Eilerman, President of McBride Homes. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. One thing that we really, when we took this project and we got a hold of this assemblage, I mean, this is such a unique opportunity. We understand from the city's point of view and ours that this is a community that we want to be a keynote project for both of us. I mean, this is what an opportunity to connect Main Street between obviously the residential and the downtown district, but also what can we do differently here? So, I mean, once we got this assemblage underneath, we went outside the box and we hired a national planning company. This is a renowned company called BSB Design. We worked with their firm out of Denver and really looked at this community of how can we take this design to the next level? How can we make this work? How can we get that, I call that medium density in between the single family homes and the downtown district that have that neighborhood connectivity? How can we get walkability? How can we increase the green space? How can we create these nodal points for social interaction? So hiring this firm, we are creating an all new product here. I mean, it's a very successful product outside of the St. Louis market. They've done it in Milwaukee, Little Rock, very similar, I would say, size to the metro St. Louis area. And we just thought, what a great idea to bring it in. So working with this firm, and you'll see down in a few slides of it on the product we're proposing, but working with this firm, his name's Bill Crump, and they started creating this medium density where you get these auto court clusters in the back. So all rear facing garages, you take all the front doors and create these green spaces. As you can see in the above pictures, all the front doors facing out into green space, creating when you can sit on your front porch and interact with your neighbor. You can have that community feel. So, I mean, these are family homes with heavy green space. And we just want to let you know that we've taken a lot of time on our end to really partner with the best to make sure we have the new product here. So I will let Catherine continue on and we will display the product a little later.
Thank you. Let's see if this clicker will work. So you're going to take over the clicker. Thank you. So again, the key elements, in addition to the exciting new and novel site plan design and home elevation design that you're going to see, it's that this can help complete the town center. This can help finish the roadway system needed to complete the town center. And it'll help the town center increase that pedestrian traffic needed and that vehicle traffic needed to support the commercial businesses. And here is an aerial again of the site. And it shows the proximity of the Crestview project site to the Canberry development and the Main Street Crossing residential developments, the town center development, and then where the future amphitheater is going to be. And all of this because it's just general planning knowledge that you take a lower density residential development and you take commercial development and you have to have an interim land use in between. And usually that's a higher density residential to buffer the existing residential from commercial land uses. So a medium density project such as Crestview would make perfect sense here. The adjacency to Manchester Road also lends towards a higher density residential development making sense. Very rarely would you put very low density projects next to a major roadway such as Manchester. That's where higher density is much more suitable typically. And from looking, will you skip the next one? This one. And from looking at this slide where you see that white line and the white arrow, that's where that Main Street connection can be made. That will connect the town center all the way to Etherton. And I mean, I think that that's pretty huge. Not only will it allow for car traffic, but it will allow for the walkability from Canberry and from Main Street Crossing to those commercial businesses in a much smoother way. And the amphitheater once, you know, it comes to fruition. Okay, will you skip to the next? Here is a small version. We'll flip ahead to the larger version in a second. Here's a small version of the Crestview site plan put over the aerial. And this is to show you how cohesive and how complementary this layout will be to the area. It fits right in adjacent to commercial and adjacent to the existing residential land use. Please skip ahead. Thank you. Here you can really see the green space, the landscaping, the landscape buffers, and that stormwater detention and open space are a feature and a focus of the planning that's going into the Crestview community. This is a very unique site plan where these are single family, fee simple owned homes that are attached largely in groups of two. There are some singles on this plan, which is just conceptual in nature, mind you, but we think this works quite nicely. You'll see where there's the walkways forming those courtyards for the front porch green space in between most of the units. However, which we find most communities prefer along the perimeter, we have the front porches facing outward. And that is so traffic driving by the community won't be staring at garages from any angle. They'll be seeing those beautiful front porches, that beautiful green space. But where we can, they're always facing their neighbors.
Can I ask a quick question here?
Yes.
So you're mentioning garages, but on this map, it looks like no garages.
No, there's rear attached garages, and they're all going to be along where you see the main alley roads, the thicker roads, and then the smaller lines, those are the interior courtyard sidewalks or walking path. Okay.
Yeah, I saw all the parking spots and it was leading me to believe this was going to be no garages.
No,
So-
there's going to be attached garages for
All
every unit.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So really, this is going to be unique and quite an exciting new project for the city of Wildwood with this front porch themed. It increases activity. And like we said, it allows us to focus on that landscaping and focus on that green space and keep the focus away from those garages, frankly. You'll see at the primary entrance off of what will be the extended Main Street, really nice landscaping, a boulevard roadway, and then an open green space amenity area. We just have it called amenity area for this preliminary committee meeting because we'd like to know what the city would like to see there. And we're open to feedback and working with the city staff and city officials to come up with a good concept for that amenity area. Likewise, you'll also see there along what would be the street, the future commercial or residential outlot. Because this is in the town center, preliminarily, we show this as a potential commercial outlet, but I think we'll talk to city officials, city staff, and see if that's truly what you all think should go there, or if you think it should be incorporated into the residential community. So we'll be flexible and work with the city on what's best suited for that area. And again, there's the 2 detention basins and significant landscaping buffers along the perimeter. Okay, now I will turn the microphone back over to Jay to discuss the elevation in the home product.
Yeah, we were, as I said earlier, I mean, we were really excited about this project. I mean, when Catherine was highlighting the amenity spaces, the green spaces, and you can see from, I think this helps explain a little better about how the attached works. And they're just attached on the garage walls there. So, I mean, each home is separated and you got these nice big porches. I mean, these expansive porches are 6 by 16 feet. I mean, this is a really community driven product that we've started. And as you can see, I mean, it's going to create great interior courtyards of walkability. It pushes the green spaces to each front door. Again, we hide these garages with the auto clusters that we're creating here. And one of the really neat parts is the walkability. I mean, by having this interconnected community, I mean, you can almost walk across this whole site with only crossing one interior street here. So I think that's a really neat aspect. And as you can see from the elevations, this is kind of a blend, as we've said, from like this new urbanism and new design of kind of a blend between the single family traditional home and these kind of new modern townhomes that give us the density. So, I mean, you can see we have the all siding, the very popular vertical board and batten, a mixture of brick and stone and siding. And I mean, just these really modern and timeless elevations that we've designed for this project. Again, this is an all new product here. We offer different variety of finishes. As you guys know from some of our previous projects, we have a 10,000 square foot state-of-the-art design studio in the Chesterfield Valley. I mean, this is a place where every buyer can come have just this world-class customer experience of selecting their product. They get to pick the type of products in their home. So, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on the elevations and work with the Wildwood team through this. But we think this is a very unique opportunity. We really want to capitalize on that too, of having this type of product. If you want to go to the next slide, please. I think this is a really good iteration of how this interior courtyard looks. I mean, this is a great opportunity to interact with your neighbor. And again, it's just as Catherine was talking about, that kind of that medium density from the residential on the west end of Crestview to the new town center of how you have that close-knit community feel. I mean, how can you walk to downtown through your beautiful green space courtyard? You go down Crestview, you get your cup of coffee in the morning. I mean, just this really new experience. We're going to have vibrant landscaping throughout. This invites people to connect. I mean, this is talking about like building a neighborhood, and we just want this to be a keynote project. I can't stress this enough. I think this is just such a great opportunity for this product type. I'm gonna go to the next slide. Thank you. So here's another kind of view, and I think that bottom section view does the best to explain how this product works. So each front door and those porches in the bottom there face each other in that connective green space with those driveways facing towards those auto clusters we've been calling them. So it's very disconnected between pedestrian and vehicle traffic, but super connected when it comes to both of those, especially the pedestrian. I mean, these are state-of-the-art floor plans. Again, we've worked BSB Community Design out of Denver has helped us detail these plans. And you can see these expansive front porches on the first floor, a wide open floor plan with modern amenities. I mean, we were going to offer islands, and we have much more options in design here, but we're just kind of showing you guys the overall footprint of the home here. It is a one-car garage in this setting. I do with that, but this can be 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, lots of options here, and large pantries, drop zones, powder bath, 3rd bedroom, luxury master baths. I mean, this is something that each home buyer can personalize within this community as well. So those are the floor plans. Next slide. One thing we heard in particular, Mayor, from you is with code requirements, and we do view this as a keynote project, and we want to make sure we've looked at this very hard, and we will have enhancements in this community. We will go to a more tight framing to avoid bounce and add stiffness to the home. We are going to go to stronger foundation walls, less likely to crack, be extra reinforced with rebar there. We will be more structurally sound with the foundation, as I said. Heavier exterior sheathing makes it for easier, less exterior maintenance when there's less shear strength against the winds coming in, those lateral forces. We're going to heavier thickness on the floor sheathing as well. This will allow for extra thickness and product longevity, especially the flooring materials they're selecting in our studios. And then again, with roofing, we'll look at doing architectural shingles throughout, much less maintenance and things like that. But we want to be clear that this is a keynote project. We want this to be one of those projects that all of Wildwood McBride Homes talks about for many years. This should be just a great new look of something brand new in the Metro St. Louis area that we are just so excited about.
Okay, thanks, Jake, for walking through the exciting new products planned for Crestview. So really, just to conclude with this committee and get some feedback from you, I thought it was worth emphasizing that the Crestview project really does check quite a few of the boxes. It's going to be a landmark community, unique product, unique site plan with that new urbanism. It's going to have very unique design, but will comply with all of the town center guidelines. It's a very rare opportunity to successfully be able to assemble so many properties from so many property owners right where you need them to build out a community feature such as the town center and build out that Main Street connection. This will be such a vibrant, active community that'll bring the neighbors together and really increase the ability of the residents to walk to the town center and include those active amenity areas. It's also important to note that the density makes perfect sense based on the surrounding land uses for this site. And it is truly a chance for McBride to work with the city to help complete town center. So that's the end of our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you very much. Mayor Boland, Councilman Garetano, do you have any questions? Councilman Brost, any questions? Mayor Boland?
Well, I was waiting for the others, but I didn't hear anyone. I'll go last if anyone else has raised their hand. If you or Joe have any questions.
Councilman Garetano does, so I'll let him.
Okay, well, let Joe go first. It's his ward, and then I'll follow after that if you don't mind.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Let me see, can you hear me? Okay. So thank you for the presentation tonight and sharing the vision for this plan here. So a couple of observations, more just, thoughts as I'm seeing this over here. And what I think of is that that property area, as was noted here, this was one time downtown district, which we know is the highest density and meaning basically what we see along the Taylor Road area, so the commercial. And I know that was something that came up when I would have conversations with folks that are in that area, seeing commercial across the road from them and trying to find something that was residential. But that ultimately came about because of the town center update team when they reviewed the town center plan. I wasn't a member of that, but they reviewed it and addressed that issue of allowing residential in that area there so that there wouldn't be a storefront across someone who's on Etherton Road. So residential was allowed as part of that. So I see that you've taken that vision there to help create that buffer, because we do have our higher density town center, which is basically everything to the east of this property, the 9 parcels that you're looking at. And that's always been a concern of mine. And from what I've heard, folks, is how do you find that right buffer that helps try to bridge the two, right? So you don't have commercial on one side of the street and residential on the other. I grew up in Brooklyn, in New York, and I was a kid on a commercial avenue, so I know the traffic and seeing lights across the street. But that's why I love living here in Wildwood. So I'm glad that you made that possible here. The Etherton Road is something that comes up all the time when there have been projects there with Main Street crossing and even Canberry Like, how do we minimize the impact to that road if something were to move forward here? And I do think that, I know that there's a lot of folks that have been waiting for years for Crestview to become an open street, a main street. I hear it and can't tell you how many people bring it up to me, because they're like, I bought in Main Street Crossing, wherever, and I want to be able to walk it to the town center. So I think if you take advantage of that opportunity, if that's going to continue to move forward with this, then I would say try to open up that path for while you're doing work there, and certainly for the city. So I'd like to hear comments of that, how we can make that possible. The another item that I've solicited feedback, so this is great because I think we'll have more feedback after hearing today's presentation. But one of them is, the HOA, like your neighborhood that you built right across the road from there, which is Canberry. The nice thing that they have there that is nice from even an outsider, I don't live in Canberry, but it's the consistency in the maintenance of the homes, because the HOA takes care of all the landscaping there. So I think with a project like this, if that can be looked at, similar to how it's done there, then, at least there's a consistent appearance to the neighborhood there. So the HOA maintenance. And I think that folks, from at least what I've heard, is that's one of the reasons why they buy that. They don't have to worry about cutting the grass, taking care of the outside. It's all part of their maintenance fee. One other item I would say that I've heard feedback on, and we've seen this in the city over time become more of an issue, is that there are these companies that come in and buy up these single family homes and start a rental business. And we've had that to the point where it's even come to the city, to us, to say, look, hey, this is not working out in our community. There are these issues, these concerns, these complaints. So I would say if there's something to help mitigate that concern there, I think that would go a long way with folks, both that end up living there and those in the surrounding communities. Because what we've found is that folks end up renting, don't understand that there's HOA rules. They don't even know there's an HOA. I had an issue in Canberry where somebody just started building a deck out of nowhere. And, they had to be told that there's an HOA and there's a process to do that. So I think that is something that certainly comes to mind when we're building these kinds of development. That's right now, those are I think the key items there. Certainly top of mind when you're doing something like this. I mean, I think the residential is good. What you pointed out about having the homes facing on Etherton Road, the front of the homes, I think is probably a good thing versus someone seeing a garage, or the back of a home, because that's, I think, key there. I know you mentioned there's even some single families spread out there. So as you were mentioning that before, I think maybe a thought might be maybe putting some of those single families across from the single families on Etherton, maybe doing a little shifting there just to kind of provide consistency. One of the drawings that you brought up, I think, shows a real good example of the neighborhoods side by side and kind of showing how the width of the homes is, compared to what's over there. But I think you do even that, if there's a way to move some things around like that, because I saw you had some singles on one side, maybe it's move them there. I think that might be an idea. Again, just reacting to what I've seen and heard tonight for the first time, but those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brost, I saw your hand up, and then we'll go to the mayor.
Yeah, thank you. I guess maybe comments or questions, but am I understanding that the home will plans include both 1-car and 2-car garages? That would be one question. The other item is that the road alignment as it connects back, is that satisfactory to to the Mr. Vunich? Is that satisfactory to the city? And then also, is there any zoning changes that are required for this project? Thank you.
Mr. Vunich, go ahead.
With the permission of the chair, I'll ask Mr. Brown to discuss the alignment because it is a bit offset, but I think we have a solution or will have a solution. Let me put it that way.
I'll be quite frank. I don't really have an opinion yet. I haven't had an opportunity really to study the plans. I've just received these, so I don't really want to comment, but we will certainly be doing a very thorough review of them.
Well, just to expand a bit, we did meet yesterday with representatives from McBride Home regarding Crestview Drive and their efforts to determine ownership and the availability of it for future public dedication. And we did talk about the existing Main Street, the offset. The good news is, since we are going more recreational and residential on the future extension of Main Street, or now Crestview Drive, we'll be reducing the extent of right of way from the 104 feet that's in front of City Hall to 70 feet, which is consistent with Main Street crossing. So that offset can be addressed a bit just by the narrower right of way width. And in terms of the rezoning question from Councilmember Brost, yes, the majority of the properties, if not all, are zoned NU non-urban resident district. And so this would probably need like an R6A, something akin to the 4,500 square foot resident district. And I will defer to someone from McBride Homes about the garage question.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just a one-car project.
One car only? Okay. All right. Mayor Bolin?
Thank you. So just as an introductory proposition, I want to thank McBride and the team that they have with us this evening for having this interest in our city and for the presentation, and putting aside the merits of the actual development itself. I have to say, having seen several presentations on developments, this is probably the best as far as a presentation is concerned. And I also want to thank you specifically for the enhanced items that you mentioned. I think it's a terrific project. I just have a couple of questions. And the first one is, and these are in relative order of priority, the rental issue that Councilmember Garetano mentioned. I guess the question would be whether there has been consideration given to having the restrictive covenants disallow that, and if not, would you be amenable to that consideration? Second, do you plan to, I know you mentioned I was off video at the time, but you mentioned the enhanced structural elements and so forth, and I don't think I heard hardy board, but I'm just curious as to whether that would be part of the components. And then my last question, and again, not a tail wagging the dog, so to speak, but would there be any first floor bedrooms, or would they all be second? So those are my three questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I can start with the mayor's questions, and then I can go to address some of your questions, concerns, Councilman, as well. As far as the mayor's questions go, as far as the rental issue, we draft all of our own declarations that govern the homeowners associations in our community. And we already limit any short-term rental, but we will look at what we are permitted to do under the law when we're analyzing them for this community to see if there's something more stringent we can do now that we know your community is dealing with a problem. And the rest of your questions were about architecture.
Yeah, for the siding, I think Hardy was mentioned.
Yeah.
We're definitely looking at materials right now. We've used Hardy in previous projects successfully in Wildwood. So that's something we're definitely looking at. There's also new, more modern material as well that has longer term longevity than Hardy, less maintenance too. I think that term vinyl siding has come a long way. Now it's, they reference it as PVC and other materials. So I do think it'd be worth a discussion for us and the city to at least talk about those products, especially if I know council member was talking about longevity and maintenance being important. I think that's something we're actively looking at in this project is for sure with the HOA of landscape maintenance is something we're really reviewing because we want this to look good all the time. I think you guys have the same concerns we do is we are named on this project as well. How can we make this look good long term? And I think with the enhancements we're talking about and let's continue to those discussions of those long-term products we're definitely on board with and let us just review that. And then for the
Well, the last question you may be ready to answer this was just out of curiosity, will any of these have first floor bedrooms or are they all second floor?
the current design is they're all second floor bedroom.
Okay, fair enough. So relative to the Hardy board, I mean, just speaking personally, I'd be open to looking at your suggestions for that. I know technology changes and so forth. Compared between, as a comparison between what we know as a present day, or at least historically, vinyl versus Hardy board, my preference would be Hardy. The other aspect of this, of course, I think is in terms of the consistency with town center, the development that you frankly were part of in terms of Canterbury, my recollection is those have Hardy as well. And so, it would just sort of segue into this, but yeah, I think it's a terrific project. And again, your presentation was great. I would actually make a motion that the project be, that we as a committee, essentially endorse the project and approve it to move forward to its next level. That would be my motion.
All right, thank you. Councilman Garetano, Councilman Gross, do you have a second or any more questions?
I'll second and comment. I mean, I think it's, and obviously we'll be going through the planning and zoning process where we have the opportunity for more feedback. And I think, it's a good process because we've seen a lot of improvements in projects over the years, getting that feedback there. So I think it's good to do that. But I also know that this is an area that, it's always been a concern of mine of what would happen. And so seeing that residential coming in and creating that buffer with the rest of town center, because it is commercial down there. And, obviously the commercial side will thrive more with this filled in. We also have a project across, which is the Village Green, which I think is going to complement that really nicely. 6 acres of open space that the city has acquired as our Village Green. So I'm good with that. Thank you.
All right.
Was
And
that-
I'll just make
point of information. Was that a second?
He did. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And I just have one comment on the rental. I lived over in Victoria Crossing, right across the roundabout from here. And we were always, being condos, we were always concerned about rentals. And granted, it's been over 15 years since I've lived there now. But I think what we were kind of told is that we could cap it at around maybe 20% or so. Because above that, you start running into problems with people getting mortgages. But below that, you're kind of taking away that freedom of allowing people to do what they want with their property. So that's just what I remember from having lived in a similar situation at one point. But I think that I was pleasantly surprised at what you've come up with. And yeah. It'd be really cool if you could get that last slot between your development and now what used to be Stonecrest. I can't think of the new name. What is it? Anthology. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Or
Aye.
all right. All right.
I
Thanks, Larry. So yeah, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward with this and see how it progresses.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank
And with
you.
that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Yeah. Second by Councilman Garetano. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thank